Oh, hello. My name's Zeke and I run a comedy gaming website. That's me there in the sexy RAF coat. Now, I'm not a member of the Royal Air Force, but I do bloody love a good flight simulator. Only problem is, I don't know what any of these buttons are for, or what they even do. But it doesn't matter! Despite my high rate of failure, I thought it would be fun anyway
to fly an actual aircraft. I don't know what you two schmucks are laughing about, you're going to be in the back of it.
So, quite an exciting episode of Noobs on a Plane because you, for my birthday, organised it so that I would go up in a plane.
An actual plane.
An actual plane. Kind of backfired on you because I upgraded to a four-seater, so you had to sit in the back with me. You were very confident before the flight.
We were all confident before the flight.
We were, what naive land walkers we were back then. So, what do you think about being in a plane with me?
Yeah, just don't kill me.
Nervous?
Nah, I have complete faith in the pilot.
Me?
No.
We were walking around filming the pre-bits and I was thinking, oh, I'm doing all this kind of hyping up kind of stuff and winding you guys up saying how terrifying it's going to be. Then I thought, it's not going to be that bad. It's going to cut to video of just nice rolling green fields and a relaxing jaunt out. Couldn't have been any further from the truth. It was a little bit sketchy because we knew that the flight school itself was selling up. It had to sell quite quickly. More on that in a little bit, we won't get into that now. But also it was the one day like myself, you and Russell could all do this plane ride, Russell being your friend, my cameraman.
And your friend.
Yeah, he's my friend. And chauffeur. But one thing that did drive it home is when we had to sign the waiver and it had next of kin. And I'm thinking, you are my next of kin. If anything happens to me, it's going to happen to my next of kin too. And the next of kin, because he was in the next seat over from me. We've been trying to do this for quite some time, but every time we book in, the slightest bit of weather, it just cancels the whole thing. And the day before, the weather was just horrendous. But we called up and yeah, they said we're on, we're doing it. When we sat down, did the safety talk and demonstration in his office. Of course, I sat down with my usual irritating brazen cockiness.
Onto the runway, yeah, it's perhaps not, yeah, we've had a funny day. It's when you've got a bit of a crosswind on takeoff, which makes life a little bit tricky.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, we can do a bit of a joint effort on takeoff. Right, if there are any showers about or big black clouds, we may be taking a slight diversion. Okay,
no,
that's roughly what we'll do. The plane does not go shooting off in funny directions.
That's a good quality to have in a plane.
It stays pretty much. But eventually we would end up on our sides.
We don't want that, Mark.
And unless anybody's got any questions, we can get going.
No.
I think we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it. We get out onto the airstrip and things are already starting to turn. I remember the windsock at the end of the airstrip. That was horizontal.
Yeah, it was. And he did say, you know, these sort of planes that we were flying in, it don't want to be in any sort of precipitation, it can't handle being in rough weather because it's only a little prop plane. Yeah, and it was a little prop plane. It was tiny.
I'm not nervous yet, but I think I will be. Right,
I'm so excited, I cannot contain myself. I should press anything.
Don't press it.
No.
please don't.
We have got top brake on. I'll just get the chocks out the way. Chocks away!
This is where the interesting thing happens. So the weather's getting worse and we taxi onto the runway and he says over the headset, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I'm like, why are you asking me?
It's your call, but I wouldn't go
Why is it my call? I'm
know.
not a pilot!
So that was how he left it. And obviously you've got me in the back, Russell, who's travelled a long way to come down for the flight. We'd already cancelled a couple, or had it rearranged a couple of times. We know that they're going to be showing up shop shortly.
Factor in, I'm an idiot and don't know anything. Of course.
Of course, he says, yeah, let's go for it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, fortune favours the brave. That's not how it works in avionics. Off we go. Once we're up there, you can see around, and it's the countryside, it's beautiful, you can see all the hills that we're kind of eye level with, and we're weaving around all of the rainstorms and kind of darting in and out of like the black clouds, essentially. It gets to the point where there is no more clear sky. So things start going really, really wrong. I could see it on the guy's face. I looked over to him, and you know the look of a man who is making life and death decisions right there and then? I recognised that on his face. And I'm controlling the thing, and then he just says over the headset, you can keep your hands where they are, but stop doing things. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He's the experienced pilot. He'll get us out of this situation. And then not 5-10 seconds later, he just snaps at me and says, take your hands off the controls entirely. I look back over to the guy. He is white as a ghost and sweating.
Meanwhile, me and Russell in the back, who can hear everything going on because we've all got headsets on, are both looking at each other going, oh my god, what is going on?
I knew things were really, really serious when I just said to him, how much of a situation is this? He just snapped, stop talking. And I was like, shit. And I even remember turning back to the camera to look at Russell, and I looked at his face, he looked at mine, and I was like, shit. And you can see later on when things are serious, and he's concentrating for our lives, it was later transpired. You can just about see on my face in the footage, I'm white, and I just rubbed my face thinking, oh god, I've got us all killed. I'm about to kill myself, this idiot next to me trying to fly the plane, and my nearest and dearest. My family and friends in the back. Excellent, good move, all from a flipping YouTube video.
Because essentially, because it's a whiteout, he's onto the traffic control to get the headings onto the equipment, the dials. So he's flying the plane blind, essentially. There is nothing, he cannot tell, and you cannot tell where he's up, where he's down. If we'd got turned around, I wouldn't have been surprised. Absolutely. In the meantime, you know, you got turbulence, so you're dropping 100 foot every now and then.
The thing was lurching around like crazy. I think you can see that on the video. I don't want to sound really hyperbolic, but we're not overstating the danger here. On the day we flew, 2 people died in a light aircraft in Scotland on the same day in the same weather conditions and in a very similar plane. And they were experienced pilots as well. So obviously condolences go out to the family of those people who did die that day. That's obviously terrible. Yeah, so essentially flying blind, we didn't know whether there were hills in front of us, this bloody mast that's somewhere nearby. We're next to the airstrip, we know it's down there somewhere, so God knows what planes are flying in.
Just kept on hearing the guy saying, the traffic control going, okay, you're 6 miles away. 6 miles? Why so far?
But needn't have worried because we were travelling at 120 miles an hour.
I know, but
into just clouds.
10 minutes, you know, it's quite a sketchy thing, isn't it? But
it was more the speed than the distance I was worried about. 120 miles an hour is quite fast to hit a hill.
It is.
But finally we see the lights and just palpable relief in the cockpit. It is quite high when we finally spotted them. We're like, oh god, we're right here, we're right on the runway, so we had to descend pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And also, because of the crosswind on the runway, he came in at a weird angle. We were coming in like we were flying the crab plane.
Credit where credit's due.
Well done to the pilot for getting us out of the life-threatening situation
that
he got us
put
into.
himself into, yeah. But he, the thing that annoyed me the most about it was that, one, they made it your decision, he made it your decision, and then had a go at you about it afterwards.
He gave me a really hard time.
A really, really hard time.
What was he saying?
And then he said, oh, it would have been easier if I'd had a more experienced pilot with me to read the things or talk to air traffic control while I was flying the plane. It's like, but you know, you're a first-time
it's
flyer.
an introductory flight lesson. I could have talked to air traffic control. Oh, hello.
So we touched down, and he's obviously in a stress. Like his anger is palpable.
He was
like,
really rattled.
He was really rattled, and he was just really angry with us. And it was like, hang on, that's not our fault. And he was saying, God, and he just touched down, and he went, well, that was a day where I was saving lives.
We were below area safety altitude. It takes all of my effort in those conditions. Well, that's why if you haven't got what's known as an instrument rating, most people ended up doing that last about load of 3 minutes. If they're not out there within 3 minutes, then they've probably lost control of the plane.
So we were quite close to dying.
That's one of the days where we've seen people.
But that's crazy. That's like me coming into your house, setting it on fire, and then pulling you out of it. It doesn't count. Unfortunately, another slight sour note was found out afterwards. A pilot friend on Twitter who lives in the local area tweeted us and said, A, you should never have flown that day. You should never have flown that weather. It was crazy they took you up. And B, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there's a reason why they're selling up. Yeah, so that's, you know, a bit of a shame. And as much as we got a funny video out of it, yeah, no, it was terrifying. So
It was very terrifying.
thanks for that.
That's okay. Anytime. That's what you want for a 30th birthday present, a life-affirming something.
I feel alive! Thank you so much for watching this extra special episode of Noobs on a Plane. If you're new to the channel, you may not be aware of what the series is all about. You can go watch somewhere, there'll be a link on the screen. Go watch some episodes. We fly a flight sim, I interview people while we're doing it, and we try and land the plane during actual pilot conditions, but I'm a noob, so we can't, and we usually die. But not always. You'll have to go check out some of the episodes to see what happens. So yeah, go check out those videos. Even if you've already watched them, go watch them again. It's been a while since I did one. Hopefully there'll be another one of those coming up soon with a novelist. We will see what happens there. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, if my wife doesn't get me killed first. And speaking of which, thank you so much to Mrs. Eden for organising that. Follow her on Twitter and say thank you if you've enjoyed this video. To her, not me. But if you want to say hello to me as well, you can follow me on Twitter also. Cool, take it easy guys, and fly safe. Mwah. The cat's going to take this interview for me.
So Marcy, what did you think of our flight?